Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa. Every third Thursday, we talk about trust with Lea Brovedani. She is known as the Trust Architect. She's a speaker, a workshop facilitator on trust, and she's also known as a top thought leader on trust by the organization called Trust Across America. She's also the author of Trust Me. Every time I say this book title, I get the giggles. Trust Me, Restore Belief and Confidence in an Uncertain World. So I'd say this is definitely a book to get now. Her other book is Trusted, Secret Lessons from an Inspired Leader. You can go to her website, thetrustarchitect.biz, and also see her articles and past interviews up on blendradioandtv.com. And today, she's joining us to talk about trust in the food and beverage industry, which is actually a really important thing as tourism is coming back and restaurants are opening back up, excuse me, to have actual service again, you know, like inside the restaurant, inside the bar. It's been a little bit difficult. So I think this is a very timely topic. So welcome back, Lea. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? And can I say happy birthday?
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We should have champagne, right?
Yes,
Apparently my throat needs it. So, you know.
And you know, like even though your backdrop looks like you're sitting in a bar, it's kind of not really, but you could reach behind and grab whatever you want and put it on.
Or you could reach up on the ceiling and pull a bottle of beer off the ceiling.
Oh, that looks big. Look at that.
I know. Look, I know. Great. Here we go. But it is funny, you know, the industry has gone through so much over the last few years, you know, restaurant bar owners. And when the pandemic first hit, the bottom, just like for restaurants, we started to read reports of just how little restaurants really make in profit. You know, when you look at
for sure
food and you look at wages, salaries, insurance, all of these things. And you could have the most glitzy and glamorous restaurant, but if you look at the books, they're still running hard. You know, it's one of those tough businesses. And then you're working in, you know, 100-degree kitchens, you know, like, well, I don't know if it's 100 degrees, but it's hotter. It's hot, you know. So it's really hard work. And then it was like, no, now you have to cut your staff. And now we're going to deliver to the sidewalk, or we're closing, which is a lot of people did.
Yes, yeah.
And then it's like, now, we can open up. Oh, no, then close. Remember, we had that whole period for 6 to 8 months. Open, close, can't get deliveries. I'm just saying they've had a rough run on it. But then it got to the point of employees not wanting to return to work. So there's trust to talk about between the employees, the management owners, trust and consistency. How do we get that back even for the consumer and the clients coming in? It's kind of this, and yet we all want to go back out. We want to go party in the bars. We want to go back to Vegas. You know, we want to go out and have dinner, right? We do miss that. So I think there's just a lot to talk about this. What's the first thing that comes to you when you think about the food and beverage industry today after all of those 2 years of hell?
You know, I think like a lot of people, if I'm picking a place to go, I look at what the testimonials or the reviews are from people who've already been there. And especially if someone I trust refers something. So it really does come down to if you read the reviews and if you trust that they're honest, then a lot of times you're picking a place based on someone else's assumption or someone else's recommendation. And if I want to go to a restaurant and, you know, I don't want to make a big choice, I'm going to go to a chain that I know is consistent. So no one goes to McDonald's because it's fine dining. They go to McDonald's because they trust that what they're going to get is consistent from time to time. So for those who have never listened to the trust segment before, we talk about the 5 tenets of trust. So caring, commitment, consistency, competence, and communication. So when you're looking at going to one of those chains, one of the reasons you do it is because you know that it's consistent. You can trust what you're going to get. You can trust that the people are going to be trained a certain way. You know what to expect. And so trust goes a long way. whether I'm in, you know, Arkansas or I'm in the Pacific Northwest, if I go to one of those chains, I trust that the meal I get is going to be something that I can recognize. So it really does have a huge impact on how the restaurants are able to stay.
The franchise thing too, and the franchises, you know, I don't know, a lot of people have watched those undercover boss things, and there was the food guy that went around and restaurant people, and you've got, or even the Prophet, I always thought was very interesting watching him go into a franchise and go, okay, you can tweak things in a franchise to go more, and hotels are doing this, we've talked about that too, to go more with your setting, but you still, like, if you can't get chicken, you're going to do something that's close to chicken in your neighborhood, right? But so you can do that, but it is still got to be cookie cutter. And so even your management style has to go with it's like basically federal law versus state law when it comes to a franchise, right? And he goes in watching this, you go, okay, this franchise thought, oh, I'm going to have this, but I'm going to change the advertising. I'm going to change the logo. And, you know, you pay as a franchisee, you pay for all the work and testing that's already been done. So you've got to kind of trust the process, right? To what has been done before you, you paid for that, and not try to change that in a way.
Yeah.
Well, at all, right?
I mean, we spent, oh gosh, almost a year at one particular hotel. That was part of a franchise, and watched the process and saw exactly what the chain demanded from the owner of the hotel. And it was pretty like on a month-to-month basis. It wasn't, please do this. It was, you will do it this way, and you will do it this way by this date, and you will use this wording. And no, you do not have the freedom to change the wording. No, you do not get to do, no, it's pretty strict. At least it was in that particular hotel chain. Eventually, that hotel did lose her standing with that chain because she couldn't keep up. And it was, you know, it was pretty horrific if you didn't embrace being here. It's cookie cutter, it's all done for you, just do it. If you wanted to have your own ideas, you don't do a franchise.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. If you want to tweak the recipe,
no,
it's just not allowed. That's part of what people are coming to, even if it's some people might think it's an improvement, but they have to have that consistency, you know. And then we've talked about how important caring is. Like when you go into a restaurant, the kitchen can produce a really great meal, but if your server doesn't care about how well you're treated, that has a huge effect. So they all have to kind of work in sync. And, you know, I think all of us have been somewhere where you're saying, okay, by the time I got my meal, it might have tasted really good after the kitchen made it, but it's cold now.
Yeah.
Or, and if the server is on their phone and or just chit-chatting, you know, how many times, and a lot of times it happens in a restaurant that is not busy. And how did you get to that position? But if they're not busy, then that's when I'm going to say the slacking on the clock happens. And you're on your phone, you're chit-chatting with your friends, instead of just, if you're on your toes. I know when I worked in a car sales once, and I did not last because of the same thing. I was bored. I had to wait for people to come in on the car floor sale. And at that point, I'm playing air guitar, my mind somewhere else, going, I'm so bored. I'm such a proactive person that by the time someone came in, I'm already locked out. I have already got schemed another thing I'm going to do, or, you know, planned, like I'm done. And so I wasn't good at it. But if you're in a restaurant scene, which I have worked in quite a few restaurants and done that, you have to be attentive at all times. You've served a dish here, but you should be watching what's going on in the kitchen. You should be watching, hey, is this table clean? You have to multitask. But as soon as you start playing on your phone or it doesn't mean you don't have camaraderie with your, your peers and colleagues, but you've got to keep your eyes going the entire time. And that's even in the kitchen. It's
Yeah.
everybody at all times has to have that. And as soon as you don't, things start to unravel and
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
it goes down.
So that's the commitment piece, like you have to have a commitment to the people that you're serving and to the business, because if you don't have that commitment to make sure that you're offering the good service and that you're going to deliver, then it starts falling apart. So they kind of all work together, the caring, the commitment, the consistency. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone to a restaurant and you eat something and you just love it. And it might not be a chain. And the next time you go in, you think, oh, I'm going to order that again. It was so good. It's so disappointing when you get it and it's like, oh man, they must have another chef on today.
Oh yeah. And then it comes in, only go when so-and-so works. People will call it so-and-so working, and that's a really bad sign.
Yeah.
And that happens, it's like,
oh, for sure,
working today. No, and it's true. There's restaurants that do specialties. Like, we went to a restaurant in Ensenada, Mexico, and they made this mole that was just, but it's one of those things you'll never get again. And I kept going back, and because everything's different every day about what ingredients. And I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, a bottle of wine. You're not going to get the same thing again. Once the grapes change, that's it. But, you're really right about that. If that's a signature dish on a menu and you become known for it,
Yeah.
I think a lot of restaurant owners flip and change menus so much. And if you're farm to table or seasonal, you have to let people know, you know what I mean? You have to be careful what you put out there in your marketing.
And I think maybe that is a little bit easier. If you can't be consistent, then you can say, okay, we're doing farm to table. It's whatever is fresh.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be the same because it's whatever we picked up at the market today that looked really good. And then the consistency and the commitment comes into whatever is there is done to the best of the ability of the chef. It's the ingredients help you decide what's going to be cooked.
And there shouldn't be a big difference between chefs that work for the same establishment. They should really be following basically the same cooking methods and recipes, so that the people who come in, you shouldn't have to only go on Wednesday because so-and-so's cooking. Don't go on Thursday because you get a different chef. Shouldn't be like that. But it is a lot of times.
Yeah, it's true. And
I wanted to ask you, because it's interesting about what's happening now, because it's still very difficult for anyone, even if you're a culinary shop, a purveyor, it's hard to get your stock. And it's been hard for restaurants to get their supplies. Some of them have had to band together with other restaurants to get supplies in, change their menu. And so the experience for their clients is different, and it's hard to do marketing. And so I think this is something really important, because also when their staff comes in, your routine may be different according to what is happening in the world today.
Yeah, the supply chain problems right now are crazy.
It's crazy. And gas prices are making prices go up for restaurants. And so it's almost like, I feel like for consistency, service could be consistent, that communication is almost got to be at the very top of the wagon.
Oh yeah.
The commitment to excellence, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Whether, and the communication should be like, excuse my language, but we know crap is happening around the world, but our commitment to you is to do the best and serve you the best of what we can get. You know what I mean? So what do you, for restaurants and bars, I mean, even bars are having a problem, so what would you say about that on the communication level, what they should look at?
People need to be told. So even if it's having it printed, so people, you say to people, we are having a problem with our supplies. Our promise to you is that we will serve you the freshest ingredients that we can find to the best of our, and you don't say the best of our ability, because then it says, well, then, but You say,
Yeah.
we're having problems getting supplies, and here's what we're doing about it. So you state what the problem is upfront so people know what the problem is, but then you always let them know how you're trying to overcome it. So people know that you're not just using it as a complaint, like, well, it's really tough getting things. So
yeah, don't be a
kind of-
whiny. Don't be whiny.
Yeah,
Oh God.
it's a
And that's a
two-step
huge
process.
thing. I
Yeah.
know a lot of business owners who start whining to their clients. Oh, we're doing terrible. This is killing us. And we.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
wants
the
to
worst
support
thing.
a whiny. There's a caring
Well,
part.
that's
And
like,
if you do it
that's really,
twice,
that's
no
like
one's gonna,
saying, don't pay me.
yeah,
Don't come
it's
and
like,
spend your money with
yeah.
me. That's what you're saying when you
mine is
whine.
like, okay, sorry, we don't have chicken, but you know what? We scored some sirloin steaks. Oh my God. And we went for it. We bought extra. Let's have a party,
Exactly.
man.
It's a two-step process. You say,
Mhm.
we're having problems getting the supplies. So here's what we've done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have a portobello mushroom burger that we've
Oh,
marinated.
I'm in.
Yeah, we've marinated in an Irish whiskey sauce
Oh,
With
I'm
blue
in.
cheese.
with blue cheese and
I'm
on
in.
a brioche bun that we
bacon.
made fresh.
There you
With
go.
bacon.
Sounds good to me. I'm coming to
My
your
daughter,
house for
when she
dinner.
went through her phase where she was a vegetarian, she said bacon was the gateway meat.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
Yeah.
I think it's I like what you're saying about, having that positive, this is what we're doing, because it is hard. Being an entrepreneur is not easy,
Yeah.
No.
and I just think if you want to go cry in the bathroom and swear, do whatever you need to do, turn it around.
Mm.
You've got to look, there's always a positive. There's always something you can do. And people, America roots for the underdog.
Yeah.
People, your clients want you to do well and they want to support you, but nobody really wants to support someone who's crying every single day. You're allowed one crying day, but you're not allowed, because guess what?
Yeah.
Everybody else has problems too. Your
Yeah.
client's coming in for a retreat. If someone's coming into the bar, sits at the bar, everyone talks about bartenders being the best, psychologist shrinks in the planet. But
Yeah.
if you go to the bar and the bartender's crying,
And you're like,
we're
dude,
screwed. I want my flair. I want you to do flip those things,
Yeah.
flip those cocktails, shake it, but if you go in and the bartender's crying, so the attitude doesn't that come from the top, and the top has to have the attitude, the right attitude, the we can do it kind of feel. And I think it goes to your clients so quickly. If people are fighting in the kitchen, that's a huge deal. Chefs and serving, you can
Mhm.
hear them in the back.
Yep. you can.
You can hear what's going on a
Mhm.
lot of times. And so that's kind of where that trust goes to. So I'm going, communication is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think they have to work together. I think if the communication is really good, I still think that there needs to be some consistency with
And
what you
commitment,
can
yeah.
expect. Because I want the experience, just like the two of you. If I'm going
Mhm.
out and we're celebrating, today we're going to celebrate Nancy's birthday. And so we're going to have
Yay!
an imaginary, wonderful meal. So where are we going, Nancy? Like, what is
Ooh.
the ideal birthday experience for you?
Ooh, now this is fun.
Oh, I would go to Ensenada.
Oh, we're back to Ensenada, Mexico.
Yeah, because I have to say, our experience in Mexico was that the servers were extremely good, extremely polite. They were fun, and the food was always good.
And
So,
margaritas.
oh, yeah,
Nancy, cheese enchiladas,
cheese enchiladas, margaritas, mhm.
music,
The music was always
sunshine.
good. And it was, and well, the one restaurant we used to go was right on the coast, and you could see the waves down below, and there was deck, and there were people playing instruments and singing, and it was a good old party time, and I liked that.
Why aren't we all there now?
I know, and
Let's
it's probably
go.
warmer.
So we're going there. And so when I hear what you're saying, it's the whole experience. It's that,
Oh, yeah.
the communication, they made you feel welcome. You knew what the meal was going to be like. The drinks were wonderful, and the staff were engaging, and you had that
Mhm.
that experience of just being able to go and you weren't walking in there thinking, oh, I'm going to have to comfort this person. You went in there knowing that whatever problems, you were going to be able to leave them walking through the door.
Yeah,
The
and the thing
communication was wonderful too.
you didn't really care how long it took because it was that much fun.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and while you're doing that, you're spending more money on drinks and appetizers, right? So,
Yes.
and if you're, yeah, and they have to be good.
Think
And
about
you
the
need to,
difference.
and give a little bit if you're having a slow time, you need to give a little bit to your clients while they're waiting. You can't,
Mhm.
there's restaurants that you look at going, oh, you took so long so that we would buy more drinks. And then people, you know what I mean? So that's not good either. You shouldn't be doing that to your clients.
No.
So, yeah.
But at your restaurant, Nancy, I bet they brought some homemade chips and salsa so that you could
Absolutely. It's
you
for
could snack
sale.
on those while you were waiting. Plus, they were salty, so they made you a little thirsty, so you would order twice as many
Exactly.
margaritas. It was
And
just a
then
win-win.
there's music, which is always a plus. So even if it takes a little bit longer, you really don't care because you're watching something.
Yeah,
That's a plus. And the friendliness,
yeah,
there was no, like sometimes you walk into a restaurant in this country, you can tell who's having a bad day because they show it. In Mexico, I don't remember people having a cross face when you walked in. I think they were so happy you walked in that they're just like, yay, we're making money. Come on, let's go.
and the
Oh
customer
yeah, they
service
like to
was
make
that
money.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were always happy and friendly. And I don't see that all the time here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We went to
Just
a
as a
restaurant
difference.
and like I'm going to say its name because if you're in Savannah, Georgia, the name of the restaurant was Allure, Allure.
Mm.
And the serve staff, like the young guy who waited on us was so good. He was waiting a number of tables, but if you talk to him, you never felt like he was rushing you to, like hurry up and talk. I've got all these tables. He had that ability to be able to be friendly and open and get you everything. And then when you asked his opinion, it felt really authentic. And he just kept it coming. Like you could see he was always checking to make sure the pacing for everything was really good. So the appetizer came at a certain time, and then he was checking to see when it should be cleared away. Like you get someone like that, it is worth so much to your business.
Yeah,
It is.
because that's a
especially the
person who's
pacings,
into
everything.
it.
That's what I'm
They're
talking about.
into
Your
it.
eyes have to be,
That's their heart and soul of service
Yeah.
industry.
your eyes have to be, you have to be attuned. If you're serving, you're serving. Period. Like if you're in the service industry, your eyes and attention to detail, it's nonstop. When we always talk about the experience of running a bed and breakfast, there is no,
Yeah.
oh, let's run down and do a radio show real quick. You are on call 100%. I mean, I was prepared even when we went to bed that if something happened to run upstairs or, whatever was going
You
on.
have the bride and groom, and you had to do the meal for like the honeymoon couple.
The honeymoon couple came. Nancy did the breakfast, and I did do the room and Karen, the innkeeper, Karen, she makes the most amazing brownies, like seriously. And she's like, no, you need to throw them away the next day. And Nancy and I'm like, no, these are good. These are good. With the little red wine, these are magic, I was actually messaging her last night. We were talking about it. When we die, we all want to have her fudge brownie stains, red wine. We shouldn't be clean when we die. Like we need to go down having run through the fields and, we were just
Stuffing your face with brownies.
yeah,
brownies
your
and
end of
wine.
life
Wine.
needs to be like, you've done it. You've been there, done it, So anyway, that's a whole other conversation, but she made these brownies, but had wine and balloons and all of these things. So when they came in their room, it was like, this is your special honeymoon night. And, my attention was like, holy, like they only get one honeymoon. I mean, this is their deal. And if it's going to be on my watch, hell no, nothing wrong is going to happen. And they were the coolest couple though. They were just all like laid back and where can we go hiking? And in the morning I was like, do you want a beer mosa? you were not supposed to serve them, but I served another person and then they expected it the next day. So I'm like, everybody, the innkeepers are gone. We're serving beer mimosas. Who wants one? And, I wanted to make sure everyone was happy, and they were.
Mhm.
But it really is about that. You go all in. And I think that's a commitment part, and
Yeah.
so when you going into the trust factor more, when you have that commitment, you give your commitment as someone in the service part of it.
Yes, yes.
That speaks more than that is your communication in a way when you're really good at it. That people say, oh, I don't need to advertise, I do everything by word of mouth. That's very good until you have a bad night and the entire
Yeah.
restaurant goes out on Twitter and Facebook and decides you sucked. Then
Yeah.
word of mouth is going to take you out.
Yep.
But if word of mouth is good, you're going to do very well if you kept your commitment. So it's commitment. And say Nancy burnt their breakfast,
I wouldn't
you
serve
you
it.
fix it immediately. No, Nancy's perfect.
No,
she
no,
didn't
if I
swear while she
burned
was cooking in
something,
the
I would
kitchen.
never serve it.
No, you don't. But you
Mm-mm.
make things, you talk and you communicate. Like everybody knew we were new at this. We didn't, act as though we were professional at doing this. They all knew we'd been trained and stuff like that, but it was off we go. And if you were nice and really cared
Mhm.
and were always there when somebody needed something, you were there. If someone wanted to ask you a question, you're not lurking, but you made sure you were in a distance where they could just look at you and you could be there. I don't know how to explain that, but you are always there.
Yes,
You're
yeah.
cleaning something, doing something, so you're there.
And even if you have a night where things are off and you
Mhm.
get complaints, then responding to those complaints. So you can't take down, a lot of times you can't take down the review. You can't take down a bad review, but you can respond to it.
Mhm.
And if you can respond to it and say, I'm sorry that you didn't experience the
Mhm.
great meal that you've come to expect from us.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you call
Mhm.
our restaurant and I will offer you 10% off because that wasn't acceptable to us. And so you suck it up. If it was a bad night, if it's, some people sometimes, like I've seen really bad reviews, and that there's just some people out there who have nothing better to do but post bad reviews because they want to hurt people.
Mhm.
Even then, you should respond to it.
Oh, this is so important what you're talking about. It
Mhm.
is so true. And we watch, because we stay in hotels as we're traveling, and we'll watch what review. I'll look at reviews and I'll juggle. I've learned, don't just go through one place, go through 3 different outlets to see, and go from the newest, because during the pandemic everybody was kind of screwy. Let's go to the newest, and you'll see. And I look, if there's a complaint, how they responded is what
Yes.
I read more than the complaint.
Exactly.
Now, if I hear like there's 5 complaints about somebody getting sick over a fish allergy, we're not going because we're allergic to fish. We're not doing that. But if I see how they've had, I remember complaining, and I never do complaints except for the one where I got locked in the bathroom. And no, I mean, the internet
Nancy,
didn't
we're
work.
not nice because we're laughing because Lisa's locked in the bathroom. But
It was
No,
funny.
but we
No,
both had our turns of being locked in the bathroom, and we got tired of it.
No,
You
it
know,
was
and then
it was a
at one point you looked and you realized that if something happened in the building, you're dead because you couldn't climb up to this tiny window or fit through it.
there was
That's
no
way-
window.
Well, there was way at the top, but it was impossible to reach. And you just realized how stuck you were. And the fact that it took over 3 times to get them to do something about it,
It was
to me, it should have happened like
It was
on
the
the first complaint
communication.
within 20 minutes.
they had already moved us into a different room because she screwed up the rooms, and we got in the room. That happened. The internet didn't, there was like all these things, but I could tell that they were remodeling and it was looking good. So I merely went in because I couldn't get through to the front desk. So I
Yeah,
walked
they were
over,
like,
and I was really nice. And I just said, I really want you to know. I was frustrated. I mean, we'd done drive. I was already frustrated, but Nancy's like, you behave. And I'm like, I'm behaving. And I went in and I said, and we had just done the innkeeping experience. So we know, don't be an idiot. I go in and and politely try to explain, and no one would actually even listen.
They
And
didn't
I
care.
said, this is a problem you have. We're okay, but I want you to know your internet does not work. And I want you, which is a problem to me.
Yeah.
But I also, when you say you've got all
Mhm.
this, I want you to know, I think the refrigerator didn't, I mean, there was just this list. I
Yeah,
said, the
of
rooms
things
look
that didn't work.
lovely, and I can see you've done this renovation. I said, but I got locked in the bathroom. And if my mom had left just to walk outside and I had it's not a good thing. And so I was trying to tell them, you have a problem that if someone booked this room on their own and didn't take their cell phone in the room,
Yeah,
even the sink wasn't in there. So you
exactly.
see what I mean? You are stuck in this room that was so tiny. If someone needs their medication, this is an actual, not a good thing for you. Someone
Yeah.
could actually get sick, get hurt, or die.
Unless
there's
you're
people-
strong
some
enough
people-
to bash the door down.
Right. I mean, no, but it was so heavy and the
Mm.
paint was sticking. So this was a problem. Like, you would actually need to have a fire department come out. And so I was trying to tell them she puts me through the owner, who said, well, I'm not coming down. And I thought, I'm merely trying to help you because you have a lawsuit sitting here if someone gets hurt, and they are going to get hurt. So eventually I was like, I'm going to have to write this on there. Be warned of this room number. And I didn't, appreciate being, yelled at. The next morning I went to hand my key in, and the owner was there. And she was the one who screwed up my room in the first place. How did you sleep? And I just looked at her and I handed her key and walked away because I couldn't. When I did the review, I said, you need to be warned that in these rooms, I would go check that you don't get locked in the bathroom before you stay in this room, just to be clear, because this is a danger. They answered my review. Thank you for staying with us.
So
Are you still there in the bathroom?
They didn't even validate what you had said. They didn't do
No.
anything.
They could have said,
about-
oh, we looked in it, we fixed it, nothing. Thank you for
No.
staying with us.
Yeah, well, that's an automatic responder. That's not an answer.
It's a
Yeah,
good thing I
that
didn't have
sounds
an
like-
immediate audio thing
Yeah,
back.
that's a auto responder.
So that's the
it
kind
means-
of thing
and
where
that auto responder means absolutely nothing.
that is the
Yeah.
problem with, I think, with communication and trust going out the window, is you get so
Mhm.
many of these auto responders. Well, look at these
Yeah.
help files. That's not answering my question. And you have to go
Yeah.
through so much that companies, whether it's a food and beverage industry or not, you are losing trust by so many auto responders in
Yeah.
corporate. I think it's really bad. And that was really bad. And that wasn't a single business that had that kind of auto responder. She could have taken the helm and got, you're really right. And I said, you're refurbishing your rooms. I was actually really nice in the review. And if she had just said, we are looking in and fixing, thank you for this, you
Thank
don't
you
know.
for letting us know. Yeah.
Yeah, we take
Mhm.
your security and health or whatever seriously or whatever.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So how many people won't stay there now?
Yeah. Yeah. And, like we've all recognized, like, I think we've all listened to cranky, not very nice people complaining very loudly and being
Mhm.
really awful to some of the
Over the
some of
top,
staff.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I appreciate how tough it is. There's been times when I have gone up after they've had one of those customers and said, I really admire how well you handled that situation. That couldn't have felt good or been easy. Good for you for keeping your dignity. And you can just see that it kind of takes away some of the sting of having a real nasty person. I was going to swear again. I've been swearing a lot lately since COVID
Go,
started.
girl.
Well, we're not really good at helping. We're not good. Don't look
Have
at
you
us for
checked
any help.
into, have
We'll
you
help you,
checked
swear.
into a hotel where there's nobody at the check-in desk and there's like, you get your little slippy card thing and everything's automated, but there's no person? Have you done that yet?
No.
Oh, it's the weirdest feeling.
They do it. A lot of
It's-
Airbnbs do it too.
But
Okay, yes, I have when I've done Airbnbs, but not a hotel.
the hotel. Remember, that was that one Marriott, you
They
know?
do, they do it, and it is for business people really going fast, and I think it is good
It's
for people
weird.
who
Yeah.
want that. There is some benefits to it, but I just feel like the
It's
communication,
weird.
like we're talking about, is crucial. And yes, there are really bad people, and when I'm not gonna say really bad people, but people go over the top and are really rude and mean and degrading.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think that's where management should, you can kick people out. You can say
You
your
can
business,
fire you can fire
fire your
customers.
clients. You
Yeah,
can.
and especially if a manager comes up and says, this is one of our valued employees, and I'm sorry, we don't allow them to be abused.
Right.
It doesn't sound like we're the right hotel for you
Yeah.
to stay at. We invite you to find another place to stay. Oh, sucks for you, like there's no other rooms available.
Yeah.
No,
See, but that's exactly it. And that's where the communication again is key also for your
Yeah.
staff. If you don't stand up for your employees, I was watching something at I don't know what business thing on TV or something, and it was a restaurant, and the girl behind the bar was getting harassed and harassed and harassed by a client who was just being a drunk, talking about her body and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
that's out of line.
I was the manager, I would have kicked him out. He was getting drunk.
Uh-huh.
And she even said, you need to stop. I'm going to stop serving you if you don't do this. And then, of course, bing, bing, bing. And I mean, I'm trying not to say all the things, but if the manager didn't stand up. So do you think
That's
she's going to
lame.
show up to work and feel even safe?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's something in the food and beverage industry and the entertainment industry. People are drinking as a woman serving and doing things like,
Mhm.
either at a comedy club or whatever. You don't know, not attacking comedy clubs at all, but you don't know. I mean, you could get hit. I'm just saying, you could go to the Academy Awards and get hit. So,
You could get slapped.
I'm just saying that's part of the entertainment industry. You go walking outside, you don't know. And so there's a safety security that can be done through good, positive communication and protection of your employees. And there's even employment laws that protect employees over this. And if you as a manager don't start on the actual thing, you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you do have to, if you own a restaurant or a bar, especially a bar, you really need to be cognizant of who your patrons are and who you want as a customer, who you know is not a good idea as a customer. You don't want the person who's a fall down drunk. You don't want the man who puts his
Yeah.
arm over every woman that walks in. You don't want the prostitute kind of floozy coming in. There's a whole
A
lot of
floozy.
customers.
Did she
Well,
say floozy?
Well, hussy, floozy, what, I don't know, cheap.
Well, no, but there
traffic,
is a thing,
fraud.
like you should be able,
You don't want that
you should be
as a
able to go
customer.
places. Yeah, you should be able to walk in and,
Depending on the establishment. I mean, if you are the low end bar, that's what you cater for, fine. And then the rest of us won't want to go there. But, you really need to look at both your staff and your clientele to make sure everybody's happy. And it's not easy to make everybody happy all the time, but there are some red flags that, as the amount of places we've been in where you can see this is not the first time that's happened. Nobody is watching, like, where is the management?
Yeah.
Left to secondary management, the top management really never gets there. And then that's when things start to slide downhill.
Yeah.
This is the way it is. I think it's natural to human nature. If you're not really being watched, you kind of do whatever.
And, I maybe have a viewpoint that people should be allowed to be themselves as long as
Yeah.
they are treating others politely.
With respect.
So even if they're not dressed the way I might think they should be dressed,
right,
or
right.
their appearance is a little bit different, if they're kind of treating other people politely and not causing a scene,
Yeah.
then
That's
it should be fine.
It
Yeah.
should be fine. But if they're not, I mean, that's when it gets weird. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be harassing other people at a restaurant, but that's
No.
all part of going out. Human beings are human beings and we do weird stuff, man. We do. But to me, I think it goes down to, like you're saying, is a commitment and the communication to me is so important now to be able,
Mm.
that's where your consistency goes. You may not be able to serve the same burger every day because of problems with, supplies, but you can be consistent in good service and
Yes.
communication. That's
Yeah.
where I think
And you
we're
can
at.
be upfront with your customer and say, hey, we have a different supplier. I hope you like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just so it all comes together, like caring, commitment, consistency, competence, communication.
Yeah.
Yep.
Competence. Yep. We got it.
Yep.
It's the 5 tenets of trust, everyone. Lee's got an article, so you can read that up on blendradioandtv.com, all about the food and beverage industry. She doesn't rant like we do.
A little rant.
Oh, come on. But and next time we'll tell you all about how good our language is, right? How polite it is.
Yes. And I'm trying to be more consistent at watching my potty mouth.
I do.
So
and so am I.
yeah. So for all of you who are listening to that, when we're not on the air, we just let it
Let it
rip.
fly.
So,
We're just
yeah.
kidding. We're just kidding. No. And it's Nancy's birthday, so we can do anything.
That's
Absolutely.
right. The
Happy
lid's on.
birthday.
Let's party.
Yeah.
Let's party. Let's party.
We're all going to meet down in Mexico and party
Yeah.
and go to the bar and have, I'm buying the first round of margaritas.
Yes.
You
and
know what
cheese,
they
and
do
we're gonna
on your
cheese enchiladas.
birthday there? They make you a cake and then they put it in front of you and they put your head in it.
Not
That's how
not
much
everybody
fun.
has that happen. No. That was that's a separate thing that happened. That's another conversation.
I might not like that.
Oh,
No,
no, it's
it
fun.
does not happen. No, that was a tradition thing that was set up and it was my happy birthday and it's a caring thing. It's not, they
Yes,
don't
it
do it in
is.
restaurants if you're,
And it's more fun to watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could be tipped upside down and have a whistle blown in your ear and then, after a shot of
That's
tequila,
also the whistle
that
in the
could
ear
happen.
things.
That could
That's not
happen.
good.
That's more fun. But yeah, but anyway, no, Mexico is awesome. And everyone, thank you for joining us. Everyone, go to thetrustarchitect.biz. And by the way, I don't trust people who don't swear. I'm just
And I heard it's a sign of intelligence. So
It is.
man, are
It
you
is.
smart.
You can't be listen, perfection. If everybody was acting so perfect, you can't be perfect. That no one is.
Didn't want to
And so
swear.
that it goes back to the 5 tenets of trust. And so it's true. If you're going to swear, make a commitment to do it really well. I'm just kidding. But every third Thursday, Lee is on the show with us, which we love. And you can go to thetrustarchitect.biz and also bigblendradio.com. Thank you so much, Lee. It's always fun.
Yes. Thanks. The two of you. It's always a fun
Take
time
care.
with you.